It's your boy Online Davo, and we back with another video. We have a video about redacted history. Why U.S. presidents answer to Israel. Now, this is a question I've always had to. Well, this is a question I've been asking myself lately. Is why are we answering to these people? Why does it seem like they have so much control over what we have going on over here in America and how we act and how we move and what we do? You feel me? That's what I've been asking myself lately. So we're gonna get into this video and we're gonna see why U.S. presidents keep on answering to Israel, even though its citizens are lacking health care, living in poverty, the education system is dog shit, people are not getting paid. We're gonna see why we are answering to some other country and not focus on our country. Come on.
We can say today that America is Israel's oldest and best friend in the world.
It is the best $3 billion investment we make.
Usually, what is best for America is also best for Israel and vice versa.
A strong, secure Israel is a shared interest.
Were there not an Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel.
From Lyndon B. Johnson to Joe Biden, every United States president has learned the same exact lesson. You can disagree with Israel in private, but you do not cross them publicly and survive politically. There's a laundry list of examples. How about in 1991, when George H.W. Bush attempted to hold up $10 billion in loan money that the U.S. had promised to Israel? Israel didn't like that. The AIPAC lobby fought viciously, and Bush lost the majority of his Israeli-American support. In 2009, Barack Obama proposed a freeze on Israeli settlement in the West Bank. This led to Benjamin Netanyahu publicly disrespecting Obama in front of reporters and Congress. Or how about Jimmy Carter pushing for Palestinian peace in his book and facing complete political disrespect and isolation afterwards?
Damn.
In this episode, we're going to open the files on how Israel controls United States presidents, the money, the lobby, the media pressure, and the quiet threats that you have never heard about.
There is no daylight between Israel and the US. There is no daylight between Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump.
No daylight and no surprises are foundational principles of the U.S.-Israel alliance, designed to ensure unity and trust. No daylight means private, not public disagreement between the two nations, preventing adversaries from exploiting gaps. No surprises means giving each other advance notice of major policy changes. The precedent of undying allegiance between the United States and Israel was kicked off by President Harry Truman in May 1948, when he made the United States the first country to recognize Israel as an independent state.
Zionists proclaim new state of Israel. Truman recognizing and hopes for peace. Tel Aviv is bombed. Egypt orders invasion. Wow, this is from 1948. Yep, May 15th, 1948. Damn, I didn't know we were the first. Wow.
Just 11 minutes after Israel's proclamation of independence. And since then, every president and the rest of the government has fallen in line. We discussed that in our Israel-United States breakdown, where we revealed that since 1948, the U.S. has given Israel upwards of $300 billion and counting. It's not just Israel that enforces these rules or principles. It's an entire ecosystem of politicians, precedent.
Over 300 billion, but they ain't got no money for you. They don't got no money for their health care, man. I'm sorry, ain't nothing we could do. No, we cannot pay off your student loans, gang. We don't have no money, bro. I'm dried out. I wonder why. I wonder why.
And big money donors that through decades of practice and consent have formed an ironclad situation. Now, when it comes to Israel and the United States presidents, there are three main power centers: the lobby, Congress, and the donor class. In Washington, D.C., you don't have to pass laws to be in control. Organizations like the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC, ensure that if you are a politician or president who can pledge your allegiance to Israel, you will be rewarded with more financial backing for your campaign than you could ever imagine. For example,
course.
in 2024, according to one Intercept article, AIPAC spent money on 80% of the congressional races happening nationwide
Damn.
and across party lines. Of the 389 races that they pumped money into, only 4 of their candidates lost. There were 469 seats up for grabs, and the Israeli lobby had a hand in deciding 389 of them. That's
Yeah, see?
83%. Meaning that if you're
Yeah.
the United States president and you even think about opposing pro-Israel policy, there's a literal army of Israeli-funded politicians on Capitol Hill ready to do battle.
Nah, yeah, see, I don't like that. I don't like that. That's nasty. Bro, we shouldn't be, no other country should be having their hands in American politics. Yes, we know it's out there, but that doesn't mean we should just be allowing it. That don't mean everybody should just be okay with it. You feel me? Because then we gonna start doing shit that works in their interests, like we're doing now. Right? So we gonna start doing stuff that works in another country interest, and it's gonna come at the expense of us, the American citizens. You feel me? If only these people had this much devotion to serving its citizens and to serving its constituents than they have towards Israel and making sure they get their shit done, making sure they get their interests fulfilled. If only they felt that way about us, this country will be way ahead. This country will be doing amazing things. You feel me? Oh my gosh. See, this international relations and that's when it starts to get tricky. That's when the water starts to get muddy, man. Because it's like, god damn. And you know what it is? A part of me is like, it's the lobbying, it's the greed. You know, these companies are able to send off hundreds of millions of dollars to candidates to make sure they win their races, because those candidates are going to make sure they pass certain stuff or they vote a certain way to advance their company and to advance their country interests. It's actually disgusting. I'm not gonna lie. It's so disgusting.
George H.W. Bush, or Big Bush as I like to call him, learned this lesson the hard way. The 1980s and 90s saw massive migration from Soviet Union Jews to the West Bank of Palestine, where Israel was building settlements. Israel had gotten the United States to fund these settlements to the tune of $10 billion. But in September of 1991, Bush said the United States would not issue that money until Israel's Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir agreed to a few things. Israel would halt its settlement building in the West Bank and Gaza and enter a peace conference with the Palestinians. AIPAC and Congress lined up immediately to oppose him. Even members of his own party, with over 1,000 pro-Israel lobbyists pressuring on Capitol Hill.
Damn.
Bush would get his way with Congress backing down eventually because they didn't have the votes, and Israel agreeing to peace talks. But the message was already sent.
That's
You can't
crazy.
disagree with Israel in public and think you will not have a hard time. Bush paid the price in the end. His Israeli-American support would tank, and in the 1992 presidential election, Bill Clinton would run to Bush's right on Israel, supporting the Israeli settlements, and he won the White House.
Of course.
Bush broke the rule. There is to be no daylight between Israel and the United States, and for that, he paid.
Wow.
So when people ask, why don't U.S. presidents stand up to Israel? George Bush Sr. is your answer. George Bush toed the line. But what happens when a president steps completely out of bounds? Jimmy Carter happens. In the last 50 years, one could argue that no U.S. president has wanted peace in the Middle East more than Jimmy Carter. Within a year of being in office, Carter brokered the Camp David Accords, which brought some semblance of peace to the longtime adversaries, Egypt and Israel.
That's crazy. I'm the president, and I say, you know what? I looked over our accounting. I looked over our funds. We not finna give y'all $10 billion until y'all agree to some shit. We not finna just keep on giving y'all money hand over fist, nigga, blank checks. We not finna keep doing that. We gonna have to get something out of this. And they would paid him back doing that. Lost support. Oh man. Damn, this shit go deeper than I thought. And it all started with Truman. How do the United States, 11 minutes after Israel proclaimed themselves as an independent state, where the fuck they are, you feel me? As they do that, he's the first one to acknowledge it. No daylight, no surprises. Hey, redacted history, you teaching me something? You teaching me something? Oh my gosh.
And provided provisions for Palestinian self-governance. Jimmy Carter's post-presidency legacy was determined heavily by where he stood on the issue of Israel and Palestine. It seems that the farther away he got from the presidency, the more vocal he became. In 2006, Jimmy Carter released a book titled Palestine, Not Apartheid, where he argued that Israeli settlements and occupations are the biggest threat to peace in the Middle East, and that Israel's occupation of Palestine was indeed apartheid. The backlash was swift and brutal. Critics said that Carter was running his own smear campaign against Israel. He was broadly labeled a traitor, a bigot, an anti-Semite. Descriptions and opinions that some people held about him until the day that he died. The message was clear. Push too far to the left on Israel, and the legacy would follow you to your grave. Barack Obama also learned a pretty embarrassing lesson. When Obama took office in 2008, a peace agreement between Israel and Palestine was near the top of his list of priorities. He was following in the footsteps of George Bush Sr. and asked for an Israeli settlement freeze. Obama said that the status quo was unsustainable and rejected future Israeli settlements. In response, in so many words, Benjamin Netanyahu said no. And this made Obama look weak and was a failure in his first year to make a big international diplomacy wave concerning Israel and Palestine.
Damn, they got bro up here wearing the damn, I forgot the name of it. I ain't gonna lie. Is it a kufi? No, that's not. Is it a kufi? I don't think it's called that. I'm not gonna lie. So if I'm wrong, my apologies. But just knowing or having an idea of what's going on in the back room of these and when they're having these conversations about Israel and the amount of pull they have, seeing him have that on, standing in front of these flags, it's like, it's an icky feeling. I'm not gonna lie. It's like, damn, what do we know? Right? It's like shit, who really controlling us? Who's really passing these laws? Who's really setting these things up? Who's really supposed to benefit from the fruits of this country? You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like the more you know, and you really realize how much you don't know.
There was no freeze, no negotiations, settlement continued, and Israel knew that it could do whatever it wanted to do, and Obama could do nothing. Netanyahu and Obama had a very contentious relationship.
The French president has been left red-faced after he was overheard disparaging the Israeli Prime Minister. Nicolas Sarkozy called Benjamin Netanyahu a liar during a conversation with US President Barack Obama at last week's G20 summit in Cannes. It was inadvertently broadcast when the pair left a news conference with their microphones still turned on. Mr. Obama replied by saying, "You may be sick of him, but I have to deal with him every day."
And it seemed that Netanyahu was always the one to come out on top. For instance, in 2015, Netanyahu used the United States Congress as a stage to one-up Obama in an act of pure defiance. The House of Representatives Speaker John Boehner invited Netanyahu to speak in front of a joint session of Congress without consulting Obama or the White House. This came a day after Obama pledged to veto sanctions on Iran. Netanyahu would urge Congress to reject any diplomatic path with Iran. It wasn't just policy disagreement, it was public humiliation. But it didn't matter. Netanyahu went unscathed, and a year later, Obama would sign a military aid package to Israel that was the largest in history at the time. $38 billion, covering 10 years, 2019 to 2028. This message here was clear.
Shit. That's what, 3.8 million a year for 10 years? Damn. That's so crazy, bro. You gonna publicly go against the grain, and then I gotta sign a deal off to give y'all more aid so y'all could keep on doing the shit y'all doing over there? Like, what? Man.
You can push back, try to change the status quo, but you're going to pay up regardless. The stories of Jimmy Carter, Big Bush, and Obama aren't isolated. Rather, they form a pattern that could lead one to believe that even if you sit in the Oval Office, Israel is still in control. But now let's look at what happens when presidents fall in line and comply. The system isn't all about punishment, it's also about rewards. Support for Israel is the safe zone. Comply and fall in line, and you'll be rewarded with financial backing. You hit the right talking points about the unbreakable bond, shared values, and Israel's right to defend itself, and you're golden.
Right.
The donors will line up, and your party will reap the financial and political rewards. This story brings us to the presidents of modern day. Could a future United States president say no to Israel and survive politically? We're seeing a generational shift where unconditional support for Israel just won't fly with the general public overall.
Nah, facts.
The Biden administration's unconditional support for the genocide and human rights violations in Gaza could have very well been a reason Kamala Harris lost the 2024 election. Biden's willingness to do the bidding of Israel, continuous aid, public backing, and the constant reminder that Israel has a right to defend itself landed him in hot water with young voters, Muslim Americans.
I will say this though, I heard about the Israeli Gaza, free Palestine stuff, and I did my own little research on it. But there was definitely people out there who said that was one of their reasons for not voting for Kamala Harris, was the support for Israel, right? And then, they either didn't vote at all, or they say, fuck it, I'm gonna vote for Trump. And as you can see, Trump just said he's not just supporting Israel. That brother is gawking on it. He doing tricks on Israel. You feel me? He doing whatever Israel want him to do. They best buddies, they best friends. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, damn. See, I didn't know it was this deep. I'm not gonna lie. I did not know it was this deep. I'd be lying to y'all if I said that. Wow.
And human rights organizations. And the backlash started in October 2023, a full year before the election. The administration could have changed courses for the sake of the election, but they didn't. Biden was stuck between two forces, the old way, the status quo, and people who were no longer willing to treat the topic of Israel as a sacred, untouchable subject. And as for Donald Trump, as expected, the status quo was never going to change with him in office, or any modern-day Republican for that matter. In just a year into his second term, the genocide in Gaza has continued. The United States kidnapped Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, stole their oil, and made sure Israel got a cut, and jointly bombed Iran with Israel.
What?
Stole their oil and made sure it...
Wow. What?
Israel got a cut, and jointly bombed Iran with Israel. Trump has been praised as the most pro-Israel president in history. What does this mean for whoever sits in the Oval Office next? The lobby is stronger than ever. Congress is still overwhelmingly aligned with Israel, but the shield isn't as strong as it used to be. The future president will face a fork in the road. Stay inside the traditional lines, be rewarded with donor money, political insulation, and a good relationship with Israel. Or try to push back even slightly, condition aid, advocate for Palestinians, Iranians, Venezuelans, and other Middle Eastern and South American people. That option risks the dangerous blowback that we've already seen several presidents endure. But that path is clearly aligned with where the world and public opinion is already headed. So we end where we started. U.S. presidents do not publicly or materially cross Israel, or else. We've seen how that rule is enforced, how anyone who steps out of line is punished one way or another, and how enthusiastic support is the best way to go if you want to survive politically. Jimmy Carter was turned into a political outcast. George Bush Sr. was politically abandoned. Obama was embarrassed by his own Congress. Biden was forced to choose between the old way and the new world, and his party paid for it. Trump was rewarded handsomely for immediately and loudly falling in line. It leaves us with the question, if the cost of breaking away from Israel is political suicide, can the rules ever change? Or are we faced with the forever reality that no matter who sits in the Oval Office, someone else...
Damn. Shout out Redacted History for the video. You did your thing. Oh, man. I don't know how to feel about this. Honestly, this just confirms how I felt about him. You feel me? And that's the thing, too. People make it seem like if you talk against Israel or against Netanyahu, you're talking about like Jewish people and like that. No, bro. My beef is with Netanyahu, and while we're giving all this money for him to keep on doing his genocidal shit. That's my issue. I don't give a fuck if you Jewish. Like, be Jewish, nigga. Like, you feel me? Like, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta watch out for people because they will try to, you know, mix your words up, make it seem like you anti-Semitic and all that other shit when you're not. Or when I know I'm definitely not. You feel me? So it's just, I don't know. I feel like American funds should stay within America until we figure out this housing crisis, we figure out this homeless crisis, we figure out this education shit, we figure out this drugs, we figure out what else is wrong with America. A lot of shit's wrong with America. You know what I'm saying? So we got a lot of shit we gotta handle, and I don't give a fuck if it was $1 billion. I don't give a fuck if it was 200 million. All right, no money need to be going anywhere else if it's not helping American citizens first. Okay, and then we could figure out what we're gonna do with someone else. That's like donating to charity, nigga, when your bills due. That don't make no sense. But, you know, as you can see, they got their hands everywhere. I'm gone. Peace.